Cold applying for tech jobs is dead. It simply does not work. After 16 jobs over the course of 23 years, I know a thing or two about the job search. And even most recently, after having been laid off and struggling with cold applying to hundreds of jobs and not getting any traction, when I changed my approach to what I'm going to talk about in this video, I managed to land more interviews than I could actually take. There's two main techniques that I'm going to share with you, and I'm going to get into very specific details with my LinkedIn profile on the screen, showing you exactly what I did to get results. And you may be thinking that you kind of already know what I'm going to talk about, and you might be right. What I'm going to walk you through is actually simple. It's not rocket science, but simple doesn't mean easy. And it's actually kind of challenging, and I think that's why people aren't really doing this and why even the job gurus aren't really talking about this in enough detail. So let's dig into the details and help you get that foot in the door. Okay, let's talk about LinkedIn for a second here. So I want to make sure it's crystal clear in this video. LinkedIn is the tool that I have used to basically maintain the network that has kept me employed. So it is the tool of job security for me. And it's kind of the backbone, basically is what allowed me to stay employed through multiple layoffs and multiple job changes. So regardless of your feelings about it as a social network, please take this seriously. Use this platform to your advantage. And like I said, this is how I've maintained employment pretty much with no gaps except for most recently. Really the first thing you need to do, if you have not done this already, go back into every single job that you've had. And it's easier once you've kind of created your profile because you can just click into, I can click into this company and LinkedIn will automatically show me the people who work at the company or who possible second order people who have worked at the company prior. And so I'm going to go through here and I'm literally just going to connect anybody who I've ever said hello to, shaken hands with. I'm going to send them a connection request. Maybe put a little message in there and just build out the network of people that you've actually worked with and interacted with in the past. These are people that you've actually seen or been on calls with. They kind of know you, and you might not think it's a big deal. But when I'm a hiring manager and I'm looking through resumes, I am going to prefer if someone says, oh yeah, I used to work with them, doesn't even really matter how much they work with them. If they know them and they worked with them in the past and they were a good person, then I'm automatically going to prefer them. I'm automatically going to move their resume to the top. So this is how referrals work. So just be aggressive about this. Go through, send all those connection requests. I did this and it took me days, and I went from something like 1,400 connections up to like 2,300 connections. So you can tell how many connection requests I sent. So once you have fleshed out your network, now this is where the real value of having the network starts to come into play here, because as opposed to just going through and cold applying to jobs that you think you're a good fit for, now you have this network of people that know who you are, and they all are working at companies too. There's a pretty good chance that there's a job open at a company that they're working at that you might be a good fit for. So this has got a lot of manual work here, but you go through your entire network, and I just, go into your connections here, and anybody that you've worked with and they know who you are, send them a message. Tell them, hey, I'm in the market for a new job, and I would appreciate it if you could be a referral, if you'd be comfortable with that. I really appreciate your help. What you can also do is when you click on their profile, you can go into their current job, their current employer, and look at that employer's open jobs. If there's a specific job that's even better, link that job in your message. So say, hey, I saw that your company has this job open. And we worked together in the past, would you mind being a referral for this? And so that helps you get a foot in the door. Now you have a person who actually works at that company. You can kind of do this in reverse as well. If you find a job you're a fit for and you don't have any connections there, you can kind of look for second order connections and DM them. I actually did that, and I didn't have any luck personally doing that. Nobody actually replied to my DMs who I hadn't already worked with or was acquainted with in the past. So in fact, while I didn't have much luck like reaching out to people I didn't already know DMing, other people did reaching out to me. And I want to show you the actual messages that got me to respond, and we actually had some good conversations. So here's an example. Hello, Ben. I really liked your idea of fixing software, which I completely agree with and resonate with because I believe the same. We have more things to fix than to build. I think we could have great conversations. Would love to hear more about your experiences. So it was a little much. I knew exactly what this person was doing, but I also appreciated the work they put in. They were doing what I am suggesting that to do. So I actually connected with this person. Turns out that they had good experience in a role that we were hiring for, and I sent them a link to that job. Another example here. Hi, Ben. Thanks for connecting. Interesting discussion on taking down the banner in that post. How are things how are things on your end? And has your new take yielded anything yet? So we had some good discussion about the job search. We kind of shared some ideas. Another one here. Hey, Ben, just letting you know I've enjoyed your layoff series on YouTube. Some really good perspective here. Finally unlocked my first layoff achievement at the beginning of August. So this person, unfortunately, was laid off as well. So we struck up a conversation. Same thing here. He happened to have some experience that was in alignment with what we were looking for, and I connected him directly with our recruiter. So another example here, this person was interesting because we had a really good conversation, and then he actually asked me if I would mind reviewing his resume, which I did. It took me a couple minutes. I just looked through it, gave him some pointers. I was happy to do that, for somebody who's really trying to get out there and land that job and working on it. So a lot of people are out there willing to help you. Have some courage and reach out and send those DMs. And the ultimate here, nice YouTube content, please connect. So I actually accepted this connection request. Don't try to be too manipulative with this, but a little bit of an ego stroke might be okay as long as it's not too obvious. So this one here I was going to show just because it's a little long. So I'm really busy, like a lot of us are. And when I saw this, I'm like, I want to help this person, but they're asking a very specific coaching type question. I really don't want to get into this over LinkedIn. So I would advise trying to keep it more like the others where you're just reaching out for connection, sharing some high level thoughts, stuff like that. It does work. You're going to get a much lower response rate than you're comfortable with. People are going to ignore you because they're busy and they don't, you're a perfect stranger to them. But if you do it the right way, you can think of it just like, it's like building a network, because that's exactly what this is. So this is exactly what I did to end up getting 5 interviews in 2 weeks, was through my DM campaign to existing connections that I had made and with people that I had worked with or were acquainted with in the past. So here's an example of one. This is a person that I'd never even actually worked with, but met at a conference and I knew through another coworker. So I sent her a message and I said, hey, you may remember me. I actually interviewed for a position at her company years ago and didn't get that job. So it was a little weird reaching out to her, but I decided to swallow my pride, reach back out. So, hey, this is who I am. The second part is make some sort of reference about either a post they just made or a recent job change they had. And this seems like you're being manipulative. Try to be genuine as much as you can with this. So, hey, I saw that you had a recent job change. Congratulations on that. Hope it's going well. Something like that. Or I saw your last post on, cybersecurity and thought it was really interesting. I read the link. So something like that to kind of bring it back to hey, I'm actually interested in maintaining this connection. And then your kind of call to action here. So I pivoted back to engineering a while ago. So looking for engineering or EM roles currently. Let me know if I'd love to be considered. So she responded very nicely. Sorry to hear. I don't think I have anything for you, but I'll keep you in mind. So this was on a Monday. Literally 3 days later, they opened an engineering manager position at their company, and she thought of me and actually sent me the link to the job and gave her recruiter a heads up that I was going to be applying. So walked me right in almost to an interview that if I hadn't sent this message, this is not somebody that I talk to very often. This is somebody I met 5 years ago. And so I got that foot in the door through kind of maintaining a good professional network. I repeated this 4 other times, this same exact process. Send a DM, how's it going? How's it going at this job? I saw you move there a few years ago. The same formula, basically. And just, swallow your pride, tell them your situation, and ask them if they can be a reference. I got so many interview requests after going through this. It was days of this, DMs. And most people didn't respond. But I ended up with 3 interviews in 1 week, and then 2 I had to turn down because I just didn't have the time to do it and give the interviews the focus they needed. So this totally worked for me. Now, you do have to put in the reps to build that network, but this is how job searching works in the current state. Posting on LinkedIn actually got me a lot of views. And remember too, as a hiring manager, I'm going through your profile and I'm actually going to look at what you've posted as well, just to kind of get an understanding of the kind of like professional that you are, the kind of work you do, the things you stand for. Somebody I used to work with became a CTO of a company, saw my post and liked it, reached out to his recruiter, and had the recruiter reach out to me directly just from a post that I made. And that's where I work currently. So that actually landed me a job. This post landed me a job. So when you're writing a LinkedIn post, don't overthink it too much. Just start posting, especially if you haven't been posting before. It'll take a while, but LinkedIn will start putting your posts in front of people. You'll start getting likes and you'll start getting comments. Interact with the comments, and eventually you'll build kind of a little bit of a following there. So the way I write posts is I try to make it. I want it to be valuable and also entertaining to read through the post. So the first thing I try to do is it's the hook. So really the first kind of 2 or 3 lines, you can see here, like this is how it shows up on people's feeds. The first 2 sentences basically is the hook. So my hook here, the hardest thing about engineering isn't engineering, it's pragmatism. So right off the bat, it's like, okay, well, what does that actually mean? I'm kind of curious now. And then my next sentence here is a bug in my code resulted in a helicopter catching on fire, which is 100% true. And you probably have all kinds of stories, war stories from your days that you can share. And these are good ways kind of to hook some interest. So what you want them to do is to click to see more, right? That's kind of like if you're on YouTube, the thumbnail is kind of like creates curiosity and you click it. This is the click here, the see more. So when you click, what you first want to do is make sure that's not like a huge wall of text. Now, my post here is a little bit too long, but also it's broken up into really kind of digestible bites. Really try to keep it like 3 lines per paragraph here. So it's really digestible and scannable. And then I get into the post. We don't have to talk about that here. This post actually took me a few hours to prepare for. I was in OneNote, kind of just brainstorming and condensing down. I could have condensed it down even further. But I did prepare for this, like if you were doing a presentation or something. So it wasn't just me brain dumping into LinkedIn. I really prepared for it. Wanted to make it interesting and engaging. And one of the comments I think got me the eye that got me the job was this last sentence here: quality and sustainability matter, but time exists and so does money. Engineering is finding the balance. So right there, you can tell my stance on engineering is it's about trade-offs. It's not about just, beautiful works of art in the code. Now, I am a quality-centered engineer and leader, but I also understand that we're building software for a reason, and time does matter often in those reasons. So if you're a CTO, that's kind of what you want, I think, in your engineering manager. So anyway, that's what kind of got me the important views. And you can see I got a good number of impressions here. And just another example here is, where with a hooky kind of first statement here, predictability is the most insidiously destructive force in software development. So making a bold statement, even somewhat controversial, and then you go into the post and you back it up. You back up your opinion. You do want to have opinions in your post. You want to get a reaction of some sort. Even people who disagree with you, that's fine. And go into the comments and treat these people with respect. This isn't Twitter, right? This isn't a chance to get into a flame war. If there's somebody says something you disagree with or they disagree with your post, try to engage them in that debate. Again, hiring managers are going to look through this and they're going to see how you behave online. And that's what they're going to extrapolate how it's going to be like to work with you in the real world. So just keep that in mind when you're posting on LinkedIn. And the last thing I'll say about posting on LinkedIn is, show your support for either people or causes or technologies or whatever. Repost content that is important to you. There's so many people been laid off that are really just top quality people, and I want to help them as best as I can. So I'm reposting their hey, I was laid off posts. So you can see that here. One of the best bosses I've had, super skilled at team leadership. I'd highly recommend connecting. And that was those were honest words. And you can see where my post of his post got 2,481 impressions. So that's eyes on his profile too. So I was able to help him get some eyes on his profile as he's looking for his next job. So it just shows that I'm somebody who cares about helping other people, at the risk of virtue signaling, which I realize may have been how I just came across. So there's really one more thing I want to talk about when it comes to posting on LinkedIn, and that is sort of what not to do. And I have an example here of a post that on the surface doesn't seem, like a trolling post, but in my opinion is not the kind of post that you want to, it's not the kind of attention that you want to attract on LinkedIn. It's not just about getting likes, because like any social network, LinkedIn can become this echo chamber of other people who are pissed off about something just as much as you are, and they like it, and you get this snowball effect. Imagine a future boss seeing your post, or imagine at an interview and somebody going through your posts and having you talk about them and justify why you posted in a certain way. So that's how you want to show up online. And this post in particular, one is this person was quoted, and the quote was taken completely out of context, or there wasn't enough context put around this quote to say why they had this stance. And then this other comment here, our industry is a complete joke for the most part, let's be honest. Is that someone you would want to interview who has that sort of a negative feeling about the industry? It's full of cowboys and amateurs happily banging out their tune of drums. This is a post to just stir up likes. You can see where I kind of tried to call him out on it a little bit. So it wasn't horrible. It was kind of an interesting post. I went through. I asked for additional context, and this person didn't even provide it. They ignored me in the comments completely. So that's the other thing not to do, is if you have somebody who questions you or who disagrees with you, engage them in the comments. Don't just ignore them. Remember, LinkedIn isn't about you just expressing yourself. It's about building a network to help you find and keep a job, like job security. He didn't reply to my comment here to link the actual post. Somebody else did. I read the linked post and found that indeed I was correct, that there wasn't enough context provided. And it was actually a really interesting topic that there could have been a lot of discussion about had this person posted in a different way, but instead of just trying to farm for likes. My LinkedIn DM campaign and my LinkedIn content generation are the two main techniques I used to get the interviews that ended up, landing me a job. But that's actually just kind of one piece of the puzzle. There's a few things you want to do in advance of this to increase your chances even more. So I have a couple of videos up here I'm going to link to that you can do before you really start on your LinkedIn campaign that could help you too. So I really hope this helps. If you've been laid off, I really feel for you. And just remember, just because the software industry is broken doesn't mean that we have to be. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you in the next one.